lads, lovelies, and everyone in between. So, welcome back to JameJame's VR, and I've got a little bit of news about the crystal, and just a teensy little bit about the portal as well. So, where to begin with this? I'll start with the good news, and then I'll get to the fairly disappointing elephant in the room later on. So, some units did ship out to the Chinese members of the User Improvement Plan. So if you're not familiar with the User Improvement Plan, it's a group of 30 users, 15 in China and 15 for everywhere else, that are selected to help with some of the QA checking and beta testing of various functions related to the crystal. And these people will be getting their headsets a little bit farther ahead of everybody else, and in some cases given some extra stuff to test out and additional access to Pimax engineers. So some of the Chinese members of the User Improvement Program have received their crystals. So they did ship in January. Just saying. Although I understand that it didn't ship everywhere. And it's unlikely, with Chinese New Year, that they really are going to get them out to the Western 15. That's sort of disappointing. It'd be nice though. But you never know. It won't be long anyway if they've already got them in China. Then it shouldn't be long before they ship out to the rest of the UIP members at least. And I am happy to say I am one of those 15, so I will be able to deliver to you a fair amount of hopefully interesting news about the crystal fairly soon. That said, there has been some disappointments. First one really is I haven't heard anything about wireless at all from anyone yet. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't have any access myself to the Chinese UIP members. So I'm just sort of getting it filtered through people who happen to also speak Chinese, which I do not. As far as wireless, I don't know. I do know, however, that the eye tracking is still AWOL. This is from Tobii's end of things. I'm told that Tobii is still working on their algorithms and they're not okay with releasing it yet. It's not up to their standards. That's what I've been told. So hopefully that's pretty soon. And then when that does happen, hopefully by then I have my own crystal and I can begin doing testing on that and giving feedback on that and letting you guys know what's going on. Probably the big shit here is the very disappointing field of view. Pimax's spec sheet gives a pretty decent set of numbers. 125 horizontal. Now that's nothing compared to like an 8KX or a 5K Super, but it's pretty respectable. But that said, I don't think anyone really expected the crystal to actually hit 125. I didn't. I think I would have been perfectly happy myself with something in the range of 110 to 115 or 120 even on the outside. I would have been pretty happy with that. That is not what we're getting, and a lot of this is conflicting quite wildly with reports we got from people at CES. People at CES were saying the field of view is very good, and especially in vertical and blah blah blah. But now that we've actually got people at home testing this, we're not really seeing this. And running through testing suites like Riza 2000, we are really seeing very different numbers. So we're seeing about 103. That is actually lower than an index. If you're wondering, that's about 108. So that's pretty disappointing. That's very disappointing numbers. And unfortunately, it is still Chinese New Year, so we haven't actually had anyone from Pimax to explain this bullshit. This discrepancy of nothing less than 22 degrees is a little bit beyond the pale, and definitely members of the Western UIP. We've been talking, and a lot of people are really quite upset by this because it's such a huge difference. I mean, everybody knows that headset manufacturers always lie about their field of view. But this is so much. So this is pretty heartbreakingly bad numbers. 103. That's really not very good. I mean, it's better than an Arrow, and it's cheaper than an Arrow, and it's got wireless, and it's got local dimming, and we're going to have mixed reality faceplate and all that fancy stuff, and it's going to be a pretty great headset. But we're all quite pissed because here's the thing, is that we are Pimaxians, and Pimaxians love a nice field of view. And we are already sort of taking a pretty big hit going from 160 to 125. And now it seems we're going closer to what is actually called the potato setting on something like an 8KX. Pretty disappointing, especially when we really were told 125, and like I said, even if we got 115, I think I would have been still okay with that. So it's not like I expected, that exact number, since no headset manufacturers ever fucking told the truth about their field of view, right? But nonetheless, that's a pretty shocking disappointment. And I'd really like to hear an explanation from Pimax about this. And we haven't heard this because, of course, they're still in Chinese New Year. That should be over pretty soon. And when I get an update about this, I will either make another video or I will leave a pinned comment on this video with Pimax's explanation. And here's the thing, since we are members of the User Improvement Program, we do have some extra means of demanding answers. So hopefully this actually does result in something useful. There's also a small chance, at the risk of sounding like Cope, and I know it is, okay, I know it is. I want to give them a chance to either explain this, or maybe it is just, whoops, wrong firmware, sorry, it could be something as simple as that. But so far it's not looking good, and that's pretty disappointing. So, so far we can assume we don't have working wireless, since nobody's reported it working, although nobody has reported it's not working either. It might be working fine. I don't know. But let's say probably not. Let's assume not. And then we don't have eye tracking, which means no foveated transport, which means no dynamic foveated rendering, so no spotlight, essentially. And the field of view is pretty bad, so we're off to a rocky start with the Crystal. Yeah. That said, we sort of knew it would be a rocky start, right? So, and also, again, these are perhaps the point of the user improvement plan is to get this sort of thing sorted out before it reaches regular customers. So we might be getting stuff that's really not quite ready, and then they can test this stuff out with us, and that might be the plan, and that might be why we're not getting stuff as functional as we'd like to see, because we're meant to be the ones to actually debug that for you guys. So let's give this a chance to play out before we all pitchfork and burn everything down. Let's just see. Although again, it's not looking good. 103 field of view. That's tough. That's rough. I don't like that. Come on. That's not good. But we'll see. But it is a bit too early for most people to flip out, since you guys actually aren't on the hook to buy one. And I am. So, when I get mine, if I tell you it still sucks, then you can make a decision. It's a little bit early, but I'm going to take the hit for the team and buy one of these fucking things. And I'll let you guys know how it works out. Hopefully I have nice things to say. That'd be nice. I want to have nice things to say. But guys, if it stinks, I'm going to tell you. After all, I've reported this shit to you. So you should trust me. And I have a teensy little bit of news about the Portal. Now, I know most of us here are probably more interested in the Crystal, but I'm still maintaining that the Portal is a neat little device in its price range. And there is some updates with that, because it's actually a surprising capable little device. So one of our guys here, Swivever, was doing some testing about the overclocking of the Portal. The Quest 2 shipped out originally with 490 megahertz on its XR2. An update in December upped this to 525. A small but noticeable improvement. The Pico 4 is 587. Quite a bit higher. Not massively, but it's a big difference. Especially if you want to take a look at this, so like how much of a difference that can make. Take a look at Red Matter 2, where there's quite a big difference between how this game looks on the Quest 2 versus on the Pico 4, where it's quite a bit nicer on the Pico 4. So, the Portal though. Well, what's this guy running at? Actually, it's generic clock, I'm not so sure. I think it is 587, I'm not totally sure. It seems that Pimax has done a pretty solid job on the cooling solution for the Portal, because Swaviver can overclock this little sucker all the way up to 925. Now we're talking. There we go. 925 on an XR2. Yeah, okay. Now, he did note that the fans were going. You know, like they were going pretty fast. But there you go. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, is that this isn't going to be hidden from you. You'll be able to actually select your overclock from a user selectable menu. So, right now, we're just experimenting with this sort of thing at the sort of handheld level, but I can't think of any reason why this wouldn't also apply to VR. And I'm still sort of asking about whether this is going to be something that developers can take advantage of, or something that the user has to set. I really don't know yet. I'm asking. When I find out, comment pinned below. If you haven't seen the videos on the local dimming on the Portal, I suggest you check it out. It's quite impressive. And that is for now really it. There's not a whole lot else to say. We're all just sort of waiting. We're just waiting for these crystals to arrive. We're waiting for the portals to ship. I'm expecting late February, sometime in March for the portals. I'd really like to see that a lot sooner, but they're clearly still working on stuff with the Portal. And a lot of the stuff they're working on sounds actually very cool, like that overclocking. And then having that be something the user can interface with directly is very cool. So that's very impressive, although I really just want to get my hands on one. A lot of waiting when you're a Pimax fan, really. It'll arrive, and when it finally does, the wait won't really matter anymore. I'll finally be able to tell you guys just what it is we're getting. Because I know that's sort of the big question. What are we getting? I honestly can't even tell you some of the fairly obvious details. We're still missing so much information. And I'm just not going to know until I have one seated in front of me. And this applies in many ways to the Portal just as much as it does the Crystal. And as far as the 12K goes, I still got nothing for you. So... I wish I had more, but this is what I do have, so I thought I'd share with you. Lads, lovelies, everyone in between, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.